Enamel pins have become really popular for selling these days. Whether you're an artist wanting to sell pieces of your art on enamel pins, or if you're wanting to commemorate an event or some school fling. And you can get them in small batches online, but they are a little bit expensive. I wondered if there was a way to make them at home in small batches or even larger batches if I have enough time. And I figured out a way to make pins using both a sticker method and a 3D printed method. This is in black and this one is in gold. And today I'm going to show you how easy it is to design your own enamel pins using stickers of your own design and a 3D printer. Let's start. So I'm going to show you how to create a enamel pin using my little friend here, Subly. Now, I just need to get Subly a little bit ready before I take him over into my 3D program and create an enamel pin with him. So first thing I want to do is I actually want to just isolate Subly so that he's the only thing on here to make life easy. So I'm going to start by really quickly cleaning up everything I don't need. I don't want the background. I don't want the white layer. I actually just really need this layer here for now. So once I have just the background shape layer completely isolated, I am going to export this out. This is the only layer I need. I want this to be clean and simple and easy for the file conversion software that I'm going to use online so that it's not complicated. Just a single layer with the outside shape. That's all I need. So I am going to export out my image as a PNG file. And I'm just going to save it to my photos. All done. All right. And take a moment, put everything back in place. And now we're going to go out and we're going to use a converter that can convert this PNG image to a format that Shaper 3D understands. Shaper 3D likes a vector format, specifically a DXF format, rather than SVG, which many of us are familiar with. It's something I hope that they will add in the future to the software, but for now we need to convert it to a DXF. So the best way to do that is to honestly just use an online converter. So we're going to open that up in Safari. And I am just going to really quick search PNG to DXF. And I am going to use the first one that is listed here, and that is Convertio. I feel like it gives really good results, and it's super easy to use. It's usually the first one that's listed, so I'm going to tap that. And then it's really just a matter of selecting my file. So I'm going to pull this from the photo library and open it, and then just tap Convert. And it thinks, uploads it, thinks for a moment, usually converts fairly quickly. There it is, it's all done. So I'm just going to download it and save it to my files. And then I am going to get Shaper open and I'm going to create a new project. So I'm going to go to my top view just to make life easy. And then I'm going to tap Add. And I'm going to tap File. I'm going to go out to my files, and inside my downloads is this file that I've just created. I'm going to tap and bring that in. And I'm going to specify the unit of the model. And if I remember correctly, this was set up in inches, so I'm just going to do that. And voila, it's imported, and it actually looks really nice. So good. I'm going to go over here real quick and flip this over to inches. And you see it's still, no matter what I do, they always come in really big. So scaling this down will definitely be something that I'll need to do. But that's okay. So I can bring it in, looks good, comes in as one file. And I can actually go ahead and just scale this. And I'm just going to keep scaling and scaling and scaling and scaling. Partly because I want to get it down to the size that I need it to. So he is about 2 inches, so that's where I want him to be right now. All right, So now that I've got this, I'm going to offset an edge to create the border for the enamel pen. So what I'm going to do is offset the edge. I'm going to tap offset edge, and then I'm going to tap the edge I want to offset. And I'm going to start by actually just going back over into millimeters because I work in millimeters. I'm going to start by offsetting the edge. Initially, I just want to offset it by 0.1. And I do this just to give the sticker a little bit of extra wiggly space. This is going to be the frame where the sticker is going to sit. So I've got that one. I can tap off, and I'm going to go ahead and take the previous line. And I apologize, my hands are shaking quite a bit today. So I'm going to delete that. So I've got my main sketch here. I'm going to, again, use the offset tool. I'm going to tap this edge, and then I'm actually going to go out however much I want the border to be. I typically will do about 2 millimeters to create the border from my little pen. That's a pretty good size, and that's all I really need to do. So I now have this offset edge, so I can exit sketching, and you'll see I've got the area where I want the sticker and then the area where I want the border. Easy peasy. So now we're going to make our pen shape. So I'm going to start by tapping the center. And this is the back of the pen. This is what the sticker is going to go on. And I am going to bring it up. And I usually just like to tap and put it in. I'm going to bring it up 1.25 millimeters. That's about what I like to do it. You could do it 1. I'm just give mine a little extra thickness. So that's the one shape. This is the body shape. And then I'm going to tap this extra one. And I'm going to bring this up 2 millimeters. Now you could do 2 millimeters or you could do 1.75. It's really kind of a matter of personal preference. I'm going to do this one just a little bit thicker. So now I've got these two shapes here all nice and lined up. I can tap off. And this is essentially the shape for my enamel pen. If I wanted to, I could put a little bit of an inset for the pin on the back. And the way to do that is if I'm going to tap the bodies off. I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to draw myself a circle real quick. And I'm just going to draw it here in the center. And I'm going to set the diameter to 10.5 because that is the size of the pins that I have. And then I am just going to move and make sure it's roughly in the center of where I want it. Yeah, it looks about where I want it center-wise. So I'm going to put the pin maybe about halfway. Okay, exit sketching. So I now have this circle. So what I can do with this circle is I can turn my little bodies back on. I can actually take the circle. I'm going to flip over. I'm going to tap the circle. And then I can go over here to tap the circle again. I now have the ability to do the extrude tool, but when I go up, it's actually going to create a little bit of an inset shape. See, if that goes up, it completely cuts through. And I don't really need it to be completely cut through. In fact, all I really need is like 0.25, just enough of an inset for the pen. And it's typically enough that the printer will still be able to tolerate, there's just like, it's enough that it usually doesn't require any additional supports underneath it because it's so small. So there I have it. So I have a pin shape with a little bit of a hole for the pin backing. And this should work. Now I'm going to leave this as 2 separate body shapes for now, rather than I could bring them together and union it, but I leave them separate because it is much easier to figure out how big this is when I go to measure and print my stickers. So now everything is done and pretty much ready for export. So I am going to tap our little 3 dots item here and click export, and I'm going to use the 3MF format because I feel like that gives better results and it will maintain both of those shapes rather than meshing together. I'm gonna just name the item Subly Pin. and final so that I don't confuse it with previous versions that I have. Click continue and save to files. And then I am just going to save it over to my desktop so that it pops up on my computer. And then click close, and that's it. Now we're going to go over to my Mac and finish working on the project over there. So now we're back over on my computer. We're going to now start working on our pen. And I'm going to start here in my slicer. So I'm going to start by importing my little Subly pen file that I formatted. Command I or Control I, and I'm going to grab my Subly pen from my desktop. I'm going to open them up. And it sees that there are two objects there. You can see that. They're all lined up. It looks a little weird sometimes when they're highlighted, but they're two objects. If I go over to objects, it actually sees the two objects together, and I actually want them to be one object, so I'm just going to select them both and click assemble. They are still in there as two separate objects, but it will see it as one, and it won't try to print them separately. Now, I'm going to go ahead and set my object. I double click this. I'm going to set it to filament 5, which is this kind of pretty golden color that I've got. It's hard to describe. It's a bronze gold. I'll show you guys on video, but I have that set, and this is a one color print, so this will be quick and easy to do. And what's really nice about this is because it's, just one shape, I will be able to fill the board and do a lot at once. But I'm going to grab it. I'm going to check its size. Now, scale at the moment, I'm in millimeters, of course. I'm going to go over to my preferences, flip to imperial, because again, it's just, my brain doesn't find it intuitive. I'm going to turn off uniform scale because I don't want the thickness to change at all. I want the size of the pen to change here. And I just am going to change it a little bit. I'm going to change it so that the pin is about 2 inches in height. Okay, so 86.63. I'm just going to copy that. And this will change the width of the border a little bit, unfortunately, but it's not moving a whole lot. It's going to change it really just tenths of a millimeter. That's part of the reason why I sometimes like to get it as close to size as possible and shape it. That way I know I'm working with accurate sizing. But then I've not changed the thickness of my material. If I go back over to meters, you'll see that it's still 2 millimeters, which was the height. I really just want 4 to play with for now. So I'll do that. We'll slice my plate. 2 hours and 47 minutes for 4 pens. Easy works for me. So I'm going to go ahead and send that to the slicer here shortly. But first things first is I'm going to need to get some dimensions for my sticker. So to do that, I'm going to go back over into prepare, and I'm going to go into objects. And what I'm actually looking for is the sticker body size. Now, when you click the entire body here, and it gives you these measurements, which go back over to Imperial. When I click that, it's giving me the measurements of the whole shape, the whole pin size. I just want the size of the area that's going to be the pin. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to click specifically the sticker body and get its scale, and you'll see it's different. It's 1.866 is the height, 1.74 is the width. You're going to want these measurements because you're going to need to take these over into Cricut. Send this to the printer, and let's go over to Cricut and get these stickers printed. So over here in Cricut, I've got a new workspace, and I'm going to go ahead and upload. I'm going to click Upload Image, browse, bring out the image that I saved out, which is my Subly pen as a PNG, no white border, no background, but the entire image is shown. So it looks like this. And I've done a little bit of color adjustment over here on my computer just so that the ink looks nice and vibrant. So go over to complex, bring them in. Yep, sees the border, no problem. Apply and continue. And I'm going to use this as a print then cut image. I'm going to go ahead and save them to enamel pens. In previous tutorials, I've shown you how I can add lots and lots of stickers onto a full page because I actually want to print this with a little bit of a bleed. That way I know for sure there's no little white border. I do go ahead and use Cricut's print then cut. So unfortunately, I can't quite save the paper the way I would like to. in this method because the previous method I gave works much better if you've got a little bit of a white border, and I don't want a border at all. So I am going to use the print then cut feature on Cricut. So I'm going to bring him over. I'm going to grab him. You can see he's pretty big, so I'm going to grab, and I'm going to put in the height that I just got, which was 1.86. And if I do that, it should update, yep, 1.74. So he is now the correct size that needs to be printed in order to fit my little pin. So now that I've got him, I'm going to need a couple more copies. So duplicate, I need 4 copies, so that'll work. And with print then cut, you actually don't even really need to lay them out neatly because when you go over to make, it just goes ahead and does it automatically. So once that's done, I will send these out to print and get cut, and then we will go over to assembly. So you see, we've got this lovely little pin shape with a nice border all printed, and now it's just a matter of attaching the sticker to the item. So I'm going to peel off one of these stickers that I printed earlier, and I'm going to very carefully line it up into the little insert that we've got set up here on the pin. And you can do this just really carefully. I sometimes use a pair of pliers just to pinch and make sure it's secure in all of the spots. But it's pretty easy to do. See? Looks all nice and secure. Once I have the sticker in place, we are going to just add a layer of UV resin on top. And now I've mentioned before that I like using the hard UV resin that I found on Amazon. And with resin, of course, it's important to take safety precautions. So always wear gloves because resin very easily causes contact dermatitis. So I highly recommend wearing gloves as well as working in a well-ventilated area. Once I have quite a bit on there, I just take a toothpick and make sure that the entire surface is covered neatly and covered all the way to the edge. Once I'm done spreading the resin, I'm going to grab my creme brulee torch and get these toothpicks out of the way. That can't possibly be good. And I'm just going to lightly go over the pin to remove any bubbles. You can also use a lighter, but let's face it, a creme brulee torch is a little bit more fun. And now that that's done, I'm going to take the pin and I am going to put it under my UV lamp. I usually do 2 rounds of 120 seconds, so 4 minutes total on each side. Once the first side is nice and dry, I will flip the pin over and attach the pin backing. And I attach the pin backing by just using a little bit of UV resin again. Put a little dot down, attach the pin, and then I will usually add a little bit of UV resin on top and just spread it around to kind of create a clear, thin little layer that will help secure the pen to the back. Once that's done, I put it back in the light curing device, light, whatever you want to call it, for another 4 minutes total, and the pen is completely done. There you have it. Your very own enamel pen made with one of your stickers. There are other ways that you can do this that I showed earlier are using a multicolor 3D print option. And I'm going to show you how to do that in another video next week. But until that time, I hope this was helpful. If you guys found this content helpful, please like and feel free to subscribe and ring that bell so you know when I release my next video. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down below in the comments, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.